I'm sleepy today. I don't know why.
Maybe it's because I saw on your stories you drank that giant bottle of wine with that straw.
Oh, I drank 2 of those, and I was at Roosters and had 2 beers.
That's why you're sleepy today.
No, I slept until 1:30.
Caitlin.
And I went to bed at like midnight.
Caitlin.
I'm tired from work.
Stand up and do like 25 jumping jacks or something.
Absolutely not. Does it look like I exercise?
Does this look like a workout channel?
My back fucking hurts. You want to know why my back hurts? From carrying the weight of this fucking podcast every goddamn week.
I was going to say Griffin.
I mean that too.
Roll it.
Roll it! Jesus Christ.
We just wanna party, call me tequila shawty.
Caitlin.
Oh shit.
Oh my god. Happy season 2, bitches. Oh my god, it is 2021. I mean, when you guys are listening to this. We're recording this in 2020, but like...
Allison's like, it's December 28th of 2020. What are you talking about?
I'm so confused.
Honey.
Every time without fail.
I did look at the calendar on my computer.
Oh my gosh. But welcome back. Hey y'all, it is, well actually, I feel like we should do a slight, at least name introduction for new folks if you're joining us for season 2. So welcome. Hello. This is Kiss My Glass podcast with your hosts, Marissa, Nicole,
Allison Harness.
And everyone's favorite, Caitlin.
That's a lie.
We're kicking season 2 off with our probably the most highly requested episode that we've had, and even on my own channel, of spilling some sorority Greek life tea. Because obviously, as you guys know, myself and Allison were in the same sorority. That's how we met. Caitlin was not. However, she second-handedly had to deal with all the sorority bullshit. So we are here today to, one, answer all of your guys' questions. I asked you on my Instagram what you guys wanted to know, what you guys wanted us to cover, and let me just say, they're juicy. Allison and Caitlin have not heard the questions yet, so I'm interested to see their answers, and essentially that's all we want to do is just kind of give you the breakdown on what it's like being in a sorority, what it's like being in Greek life, the behind the scenes, things that people don't really know or people don't talk about, and especially while you're in the sorority, because I did have, which obviously she will stay unnamed, but I did have a sorority girl in a different sorority on Ohio State's campus like swipe up on my question poll, and she was like, oh my god, thank god you're doing this, because like people need to talk about it. And I was like, I know I've been wanting to, but obviously while you're in the sorority you can get in a lot of trouble. And now that we're alumni, graduated, we're done, we out this bitch, we're gonna talk about it, and I'm really excited. Before we dive on into the content and all like the juicy details and stuff, we do just want to say, of course, that with season 2 comes a lot of changes. I also asked you guys a whole bunch of polls on my Instagram of like what you guys wanted to see and, well, I guess hear in the new year, in our new season. So we took all of your guys' advice, all of your feedback, and we're throwing that into all of our upcoming episodes. And we're actually going to be introducing a new segment, which actually comes from Allison and her ginormous brain over there.
Even I made a face at that.
I know. I was just waiting to see what you would say. We have some fun stuff in the works from, you know, you guys, the listeners, from my Instagram. But Allison came up with this great thing that we're going to be doing every week, which is essentially the drink of the week. Goes along with Kiss My Glass, of course. We were started on a margarita, essentially. And what we want to do is try out different drinks every week and try out ones that you guys want us to try. And we'll all, you know, make the same one. We get to taste them together and just like, I don't know, have a good time, but get you guys involved and you guys can make the same drink with us. We'll like post which one we're drinking that day, the day before or something. So that way you guys can, you know, grab your glass with us, grab the same glass, and we'll all just kind of chill, have a drink. But today we're starting out with our favorite drinks. So myself, I'm kicking off season 2 with, of course, a margarita.
I have a vodka Sprite.
And my house is really cold, so I am drinking hot chocolate with Baileys.
Caitlin, I'll never forget when you just chugged that bottle of Baileys on spring break. You're like, oh my god, this is so good. You're like, it's like chocolate
Kind of
milk.
tastes like chocolate milk.
Oh my god.
It's yummy. Hey, Griffin was drinking it with me. Griffin was passing the bottle with me.
But keep an eye out on our Instagram stories, which is kissmyglass_podcast. We'll be getting your guys' feedback on like what drinks you guys want us to try next. We'll be posting the drinks that we're going to try for that week. And we hope it'll just be fun. Of course, obviously, you can send us other drinks. They don't have to be alcoholic, but please drink responsibly. We do not condone underage drinking, but sorority life does. Ah! Let's get into it. Let's start with the questions because y'all.
I'm genuinely scared for this.
Oh, okay. There were some good ones. Okay, so this question's kind of funny. I think it's more specific to maybe like the older times of sororities or like Southern sororities, in my opinion. But the question is, why do they make you guys all dress the same sometimes? Which, like, to me, as soon as I hear that, I think like Alabama.
I mean, no, but I mean, we kind of did too. Like, you have certain attire that you have to wear. Like,
oh, that is true. Okay, so like ritual attire. I was just thinking like
Yeah.
recruitment. My first thought is recruitment. You know how when they would wear those same like layered
Oh
white
my
skirts and the
God.
same top. Like that was my first thought. So for ritual, of course, I mean, I don't even know how in depth we need to go, but essentially there are rituals, which are like secret society shit that sororities do. And
The funny thing is, it's not even that deep.
it's not. No, it's not. They make you feel like it's a big thing, but it's really not. But everybody does dress exactly the same, essentially. Like they, for example, our ritual attire within our sorority was like a white dress and black closed-toed shoes. So you had the freedom of like picking your dress, and like your shoes, but everybody essentially looked the same.
Well, not too much freedom. They were pretty particular about the dress that you could wear, but it wasn't like that bad.
It had to be very modest, so like no cleavage. It had to be long enough, which obviously most of these things these girls in my sorority did not listen to. It was very like, oh, like backs have to be closed, and you have to have sleeves on your dress, and all these like certain rules. And of course, closed-toed shoes, it has to be either heels or flats. You can't wear like booties. Like it is very, very specific for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
like it couldn't, like I forget what the inch mark was, but it couldn't be like this far, like close to your ankle or something. Like,
oh, like, yeah, it couldn't like touch your ankle bone, like that little round bone that sticks out. For ritual, it's just like it's written down law essentially from like when all the founders founded each sorority. They like decided what ritual would be like. But for like Southern sororities, when they do recruitment, I don't know why they all dress exactly the same. I think that was just more of like an older, like, I'm thinking like 2010 when I think of that.
you talking about door stacks?
Yeah, door stacks
With
in the
door
same
chants?
outfits. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's what it reminds me of, is like those stupid videos where they're all in like the door clapping, singing, and it's literally terrifying.
I want to go A-Pie, woo, woo,
Yes.
I want to go there. Don't you? Boom, boom, I want to go 85. I'm so glad. It's actually like illegal at Ohio State wise. We can't do door chants, which thank the motherfucking Lord that we do not have to do door chat or door stacks or door chants for recruitment. It's considered like a frill, which is really weird, but it's a huge thing in like Southern schools to like welcome girls who are rushing by like stacking themselves. We'll post a picture on the Instagram. Like we'll post the video.
You know what I really love? How that's considered a thrill, but people can go spend $1,000 on neon signs for each round of recruitment, but we can't sing. I'm not complaining about this not singing.
Oh, true.
But-
Oh, true. Or they would spend $1,000 on like an ice sculpture or some bullshit.
Literally.
I already touched on this before we started answering the questions, but does sorority life really consist of drunk girls?
Depends on how you look at it.
I think that the culture itself perpetuates drinking.
I would just say college life in general does that though too. Like I definitely think like Greek life like encourages it almost, but like so does college. So people who like judge sororities and like fraternities on that stuff, like a majority of people in college are drinking.
But I will say the one thing that tells me that it's like more or definitely encouraging, or you know, that culture itself, is that of course we have scheduled essentially parties with fraternities and like scheduled parties with ourselves, and so
And scheduled hours where we're not allowed to drink.
yeah, we have to like be sober for the first hour and then you can drink afterwards, essentially, like in the hidden rule book. But
Yeah.
like the fact that there are scheduled events on the calendar that for some sororities are mandatory and for some aren't, but like because there's scheduled parties that you have to go to, that's where some people are like, oh, it is just about drinking, or everybody's just drunk all the time, which you don't have to drink when you go to those events. But I can see how people would think that, because when you're all living in a house and you're in college, it's already that environment, and then you're going to drink, you're going to hang out with your girlfriends, you have scheduled parties with fraternities or like scheduled blocks and stuff before. Like, it's just, yes.
I don't know how people go to those events and like not drink. One, just because that's how I coped with having to be there.
Like, what else are you supposed to do?
Right. Like, the first hour was just awkward. The sober hour was awkward.
Well, that's why you pregame the sober hour, and then you stay sober. Well, you not really sober. You don't drink for the sober hour, and then you drink again.
Exactly.
Normally, how much would it cost was a question. And I think I did a breakdown on my channel of, like, how much money I spent.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
I always tell people every sorority is different, of course, because every sorority is going to have their own dues. And some of them are really expensive. And also it just depends if you're in like a Southern school versus North school. Like, depending on how intricate is Greek life, you're going to pay more. But I would at least plan for $10,000 a year.
$10,000 a year?
Yes, if you're living in the house and you have to pay dues.
Oh, yeah. With 10,000, yeah. If you're living in, then yes.
Because even
I was like, bitch, what sorority were you a part of?
No, yeah, like if you live in the house and even if you're not living in the house, but just like dues in general, there's always more expenses, like getting a big or little. Like, you're going to have to buy stuff for their baskets. You're going to have to like buy outfits to do these TGs and I'll go to all these parties. And like, there's just more money into it than you think. Like, even when you get that bill and it's like, here's your dues, add on an extra like $3,000 to that. Going off of a previous question is, are you pressured to drink and or party if you're in a sorority? I would say depending on the sorority and also depending on like your family. Like, stereotypically, they're not supposed to haze you, but also hazing is a real thing, unfortunately. And families or certain people might like pressure you into drinking if you go to a party with them. But those are just not the people that you want to be around. But I have definitely seen it happen. And even in our sorority, I have seen and heard it happen. And I don't like that.
I don't understand why y'all paid to get bullied when I could have just done it for free. So I think I need some money for all the times I've bullied you.
I don't know any other sorority, but our sorority, at least as a whole, like the whole structure of AOPI did not haze. Individual people did. Individual families did. I did not get hazed. Allison, did you get hazed?
No, I didn't get hazed. I wish somebody would try to haze me.
That's what I was saying. Is like, I wish I would have been down in that chapter room and these bitches were like, I don't know, fucking, anything. I would have been like, fuck you.
No, literally, like, where they make them, like, sit on, like washing machines and watch their fat jiggle and they circle it. Bitch, please. Yeah. No, yeah, please. That's some sororities on our campus that we've heard of like, having girls strip down in the chapter room and like pointing out where they need to lose weight or where this could be prettier or they need to dye their hair this, like Allison said, putting them on a washer to see what jiggles when it goes. Like, things get crazy and hazing is a real thing. I personally never had to deal with it and I never would, and so punch a bitch in her face if she tries.
No, I was gonna say I would walk out and they would all probably have some black eyes.
Yep. Yeah, because that's the thing is, why pay to get bullied? Hell fucking no. This is gonna, okay, I'm curious of I feel like I know your answer, Allison. This is also a question for you, Caitlin. If you could do it again, like college over again, would you join a sorority?
No. I've never been interested in joining a sorority. My mom was in DZ and always tried to push it on me, which if I did, I probably would have joined DZ because I knew a couple people from high school that went into it, so I would have known people going into it. Mm-hmm. But other than that,
all those people dropped.
Literally. And I would have been dropping with them.
That's the thing I ask myself all the time because it's hard. Mm-hmm. Because deep down I want to say no. Like, I would never do it again. Only because the money is stupid. It really is. But also, like, I wouldn't have met you. Like, there's no way we would have met.
Oh, hell no.
If it weren't for that sorority. So there's pros and cons.
What if then we change the question? Not even just to join the same sorority again. If you could do it again and like rush again, would you do that?
Rushing? No. Hell no.
Because I feel like
Absolutely
for me,
not.
The same kind of thing. Like, if I have no regrets in life because everything has led me here, blah, blah, blah. But if I were to do college again, I would rush again. I would do primary as a freshman because out of the three of us, I am the typical sorority bitch. And I would love to like be in a sorority all 4 years and see where else I would end up if I actually went and got to meet all the houses. Because my style of recruitment, I only got to meet 2. And so my choices were very limited. And so I wonder where I would end up if I did like the whole thing.
Here's an interesting question that I just thought of, and I know we've never talked about. If I were in a sorority, what sorority could you see me in? And, like, what kind of sorority girl do you think I would be? Like, based off of who you guys know in your sorority and, like, who you've met from other sororities.
You'd be the back of the chapter room bitch that doesn't do anything, that only shows up to what's mandatory.
I was going to say, you'd be very similar to me.
Yeah.
You show up, you get it done, and you leave.
But I feel like I could see you in, like, at least at Ohio State. Obviously, I can't speak for anything else. But a Gamma Phi Beta, or...
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Or...
Gamma Phi Beta.
Essentially, it's kind of like, if you're actually wondering, like, Caitlin, like, how do you even know? How do you associate? It's obviously different with each school, but I kind of, like, compare, if I'm thinking of it like a personality test, and, like, who are other girls in that sorority, or, like, what are they like? Okay, Caitlin would fit in well there. Or it's kind of like the whole Enneagram, like, I'm assigning an Enneagram number to this sorority, and then she's this, like, that's how I do it. Because, yeah, Gamma Phi Beta, I love all the girls there. I mean, I don't know all of them, but the girls that I knew in there, they're very much, like, just very sweet. And I never really saw them doing, like, a lot or anything, like, over the top. They were just coasting. You know what I mean? They're just, like, a coasting sorority, doing their thing.
They're very comfortable, yes.
Yeah, doing their thing well.
So then if I were in that sorority, do you think I would have been, like, the back of the chapter bitch? Or do you think I would have been more engaged and, like, enjoyed my time?
I think I could have seen you running for, like, a cabinet position, but nothing really intricate. Like, I could see you doing, like...
I feel like Allison's laughing, but I think I maybe would have, because I am a people pleaser. So if someone were to come up to me and be like, hey, I think you're good in this aspect, we could use you here, it would put pressure on me to be helpful. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, no, for sure. No matter how stressed out I am, because that's how I am when I work. Too, because, like, I can be in completely different positions if someone comes up to me and is like, hey.
See, but the reason why I laugh is because I could see Caitlin running for one of those positions and be one of those bitches, like everyone else, who gets completely pissed off because you're either doing everyone else's job for them because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, or they're too lazy, and then you just get mad and then end up hating life, and then you drop.
Did you just tell my entire sorority experience?
Yes.
I mean, Marissa and I are very similar, so I could also see that, because I do get very frustrated when I want things to go my way and, like, people aren't doing it and they aren't taking into consideration what I have to say. So then I'm like, all right, fine, I'll just do it myself.
Literally. When I was a Rogam, I learned that one of the sororities, you don't run for positions. They say you're doing it.
I wish someone would come up to me, point at me, and be like, you're doing this. I'd be like, literally, fuck you, and walk out of that chapter room.
No, literally, like, they have this whole, like, it's all written in, like, their rituals kind of thing, where it's like, you just have this duty to, like, do what you're good at and to, like, bring your passions to blah, 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 blah. So, like, the president, or I don't remember who does it, somebody in that chapter at the end of that term, they basically sit down with someone else or whatever, and they, like, decide who the next people are going to be based on their, like, talents or who they think would be good at it. And you just, like, have to do it.
You know, I take it back. I think I would like that only because it would cut out all the bullshit drama that happens during elections.
Oh, 100%. It's literally just a popularity contest.
Because you can't argue it.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, but that could also still be a popularity contest. Like, if I was president, I would anoint you for something, because I'd be like, yes, bitch, you're drowning with me.
And I'd hate you. I'd be like, you would just see me in the back of the room slowly sinking down into my chair, like, just make it look like I'm not here today.
Oh my God. The question is, did anyone get kicked out of our sorority while we were there?
I think so.
I feel like you guys told me a story about this.
Unfortunately, at least within hours, I believe there was at least one, maybe two that were released while we were there. Obviously, I'm not going to name names just for, like, privacy reasons, but there was two girls that had to be released from our sorority while we were there. There has been plenty more since before we were there. There's probably going to be more after you're there. A whole bunch of times people get released from sororities. Mainly it's for, like, misconduct in some way, whether they're, like, breaking rules consistently or doing something wrong, or they are basically a hazard or a liability to the sorority or to the organization. They have to let them go. Is the rule on alcohol really that strict? Do you have any rules on alcohol? So within the house we do. You cannot have alcohol in the house.
Or so there's a homeless man in your room.
Oh my God.
It's Griffin.
Oh, okay. You're safe.
Is she, though?
Well, maybe.
I saw him stab that gingerbread house. It looked like he was releasing a lot of pent-up anger.
I know.
He's looking at you. Watch out.
He's taking his knife out. Don't play with that.
I didn't have a knife.
What do you have?
A knife!
I don't know what we were talking about, but rolling alcohol. So yes, in the house, you cannot have alcohol.
I would have been kicked out then.
Yeah, Caitlin would have.
Well, and like in my year living in the house, they only did one check, and that was like before recruitment, because specifically you obviously can't have any kind of like paraphernalia showing for recruitment of like alcohol or drugs or anything bad. And so they checked then. But other than that, like they never checked the rooms while I was living there. And I know for sure that while I was living there and years prior and years after, there's girls that keep alcohol in that house.
Oh, yeah.
Fraternities is a whole other issue, which I have a bone to pick, but we'll get to that later. When you were going through recruitment, Allison, were there actually very nice girls that you met, but then turned out to just be really mean once you joined the sorority?
No. Because like AOPI, I literally only met 3 people, and then the other 2 were your big and my big.
And they're both angels.
MCAP can do no wrong. So can Anna.
I love MCAP. On my hand, there was I could count on at least one hand the amount of people that were super nice to me in the beginning, and then were just completely like bitches after I joined. And for at the beginning, no particular reason. Like it was just, of course, they're putting on their best face. And then after I joined, it's just like I started to see little mannerisms, or like how they treated other girls, or like how rude they were, or just like little things where I was like, oh, that girl's not as nice as I thought she was. And then there's a few girls that were actually just outright rude and mean.
Oh, 100%. Because there were girls that I was like, not like close with by any means, but like I thought they were like really nice, like genuine people, and then you actually get to know them, and then you're like, never mind, fuck you.
I don't know, Allison, if you have one. Was there ever a frat that you hated?
Yes.
Shut
you
the
know
fuck
which
up.
one. Which party did you drag me to that I specifically said I did not want to go to because I knew a specific someone was going to be there, and I walk in the door and he's the one handing out the wristbands?
Oh!
Yes. Yes, I literally walked in the door and I looked at you and I was like, fuck you. You were like, he probably wouldn't even see him there.
Okay, well, granted, you just hated that guy. You didn't really hate the whole fraternity. Like,
Oh no, I am labeling it as the whole fraternity.
Griffin, what's the annex, or not the annex? What's the frat that lived by your old house? The kicked off frat that was by your old house? What? I hate AE Pi. They're kicked off a campus, but they lived right next to.
They've been kicked off a couple of times, haven't they?
Yes. But they lived right next to Griffin's house, and they just threw parties all day, every day. And like Griffin's room was right next to it. So in the middle of the night, we'll just hear like,
Oh, yeah. I remember that because like they had like some $10,000 speaker system next door.
Literally. But for me personally, I wasn't close with any frats other than like DU, because that was the frat that Griffin was in, enough to like hate any frats or like anybody specifically in them. Tell us about pledging, all the juicy tea.
See, that's the thing. Like with sororities, I feel like it's not that intense.
At least with ours. Again, like, yeah, we had no hazing. We had nothing out of the ordinary. I remember being really nervous because I didn't know what to expect.
Because I didn't know what to expect. No, yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard so much. So I was like, is something about to happen to me down here? I might have to beat somebody's ass. Like, I was preparing myself, and then nothing happened. So it was just like normal ritual secret stuff. But like, again, there are some other sororities that do some crazy ass shit for pledging. There's one fraternity specifically that I had heard that they had all of their pledges that semester or whatever. They had to go and like hook up with a girl in a different sorority, and then like to bring back her underwear to prove it. And like that was what they had to do to get into the fraternity. And I was like, that is so fucked up. That's the shit that I hate about fraternities, though, is usually that shit's like sitting around doing something with girls, to girls, or just something really dumb as fuck, which fine. If you want to put your own life in danger, cool, go do something stupid, jump off a bridge. But the fact that they have to like hook up with a girl, I'm not cool with that. But just beware of frat dudes when they're freshmen and pledging. Or frat dudes ever. Do sororities discriminate against girls for either not looking pretty enough or skinny enough?
That was honestly one of my biggest fears with rushing in general, too. because I didn't want to be like looked at differently. And I know that sometimes when you walk into some of the houses, they don't even give you like a second glance when you do like spring recruitment or formal recruitment or whatever. So I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I already know I'm uncomfortable only to be a million times more uncomfortable. Because I've heard stories about how when you sit down for like the 30 seconds, sometimes like they're supposed to make the small talk with you and make the connection with you. But sometimes they make it very awkward for you and they just don't talk to you because they look at you and they're like, no, you are not what I want.
Trust me, I know. And the sad thing is that girls who are actually going through recruitment, like P&Ms, also do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. If they go to a house that they don't want on their list, they'll just sit there.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. That's how I know, because you've told me the story, like, that they sit there and they don't talk to you, or they're not interested. They just have to go through that house because they have to go through them all. So that it makes it uncomfortable, and that would literally make me walk out on the spot. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. For what?
But there's like, a specific sorority in my head that I learned while being a Rogam as well. They know exactly who's going to be on their bid list on the first day of recruitment, because they have a whole team. Like, you know how we have like the business team for recruitment? They have a whole business team essentially that just stalks and like does research on social medias on all the P&Ms. And they strictly make their decisions essentially on like how they look, or like how many followers they have, how many likes do they get, like just looks essentially.
I don't know if this is a house on Ohio State or somewhere else, but I think Allison has told me before or even you, Marissa, when they walk in, they check your coats for the tags, and if it's like some certain designer, and to see how expensive it is, to see if you can basically
if you can afford their chapter.
Yeah. Some houses will have like racks where you just hang up your own stuff, and then some houses will, the girls will take their coats, which to an unsuspecting P&M is just like being
doesn't
courteous.
Seem harmful.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, you're being so nice. This house is so nice. But the girls, are literally taking it, looking at it, and being like, oh, this is from Walmart? No. Like, not gonna work. Or literally will make their decisions based off of like kind of outfits they're wearing, or like, again, what their hair looks like, what their makeup looks like, how skinny they are they blonde, are they brunette, are they tall and skinny, are they tan? Like, there's literally an archetype for like each sorority, stereotypically, unfortunately, and these sororities will stick to that. One sorority had like a woman of color in her like in their recruitment video in the beginning, and she was like doing all this great stuff or whatever. And then when I was a Rogam, I found out that essentially that girl had dropped after that because that sorority would not let her recruit because she doesn't fit their mold.
So they lured people in by making them look like they're diverse.
Yeah.
And then wouldn't let that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's
and then
fucked
even
up.
In this sorority specifically too, and I saw it firsthand, so a lot of the stuff is like hearsay unfortunately too, but a lot of it is like I experienced it or I was told directly from the girls in the sorority. But when I was Rogam and I went to this house and they had us sit and like, obviously we don't get to like be in recruitment, so they usually push us off into a different room, into like a closet or something or whatever, in a whatever room. So I'm sitting in this room with all the other girls that don't get to recruit, that are just like the kitchen people, or like they get the drinks and stuff ready, and it's all of those girls that, and I say those girls as in like the girls that don't fit their archetype. So it's like maybe the thicker girls, or maybe the girls with like black hair that aren't blonde, tall, and skinny, like all of those girls that they get to make them look more diverse in their pictures, they don't use to recruit.
That's fucked.
And I was like, I'm not shook, but like I'm shook.
If that were to ever happen to me, I would be very vocal.
Yeah, well, and that's why that girl quit. She was like, oh, you rushed, like you recruited me to make your sorority more diverse. You put me in your recruitment video to make you look more diverse, and you won't let me recruit? Fuck you, and left.
I don't blame her. Good for her.
As she should, yeah.
Yeah. To answer that question, yes, there is a lot of judging, unfortunately, on your looks, and it sucks, especially going through it, like the whole like rejection side of it, like to know that you might have just gotten rejected by the way you look. Like, of course that causes a lot of like self-esteem issues, but ultimately I try to like help girls when I was a Rogam and just be like, look, is that really the sorority that you want to be in anyways? Like, obviously they don't even hold great morals or characteristics of like what a person should be. Like, if you wouldn't call that sorority, that person, your friend, like why would you want to be in that sorority? But it's hurtful. It's a whole traumatizing experience.
That's why I'm happy I didn't do it, because I feel like it was a thought I always had too, was I feel like I'm going through high school again. but with the
Yes.
mean girls.
Yeah, but it's mean girls that'll be nice to your face and then drop you. Because I had so many
Yes.
P&Ms that were like, I have no idea why I was dropped from this house. Like, I had such good conversation. The girls were so nice. Like, I really thought I was going to get them back. And they dropped her just dropped her. Because they're like, nope.
Yep.
And it kills them. And I'm like, I feel so bad.
Yeah, and I also loved being able to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, because like there were weekends I would go out and Allison's like, I can't drink this weekend, a sober weekend, or
Oh
I
my
can't
god,
be
those
out.
were the fucking worst.
The fact that those exist.
Yeah, she's like, I can't go out right now, and I'm like, oh, come on, no one's gonna see you, and she's like, yeah, that's true, but they could potentially see me, and I'm not risking getting in trouble and getting fined or whatever.
Getting fined, getting kicked
Yeah.
out, literally.
Oh, I totally went out during one of our sober weekends.
Oh, I mean, but normally, and that's the thing, is like, it's a sober weekend or a sober, literally January, the whole month of January is a sober month because of
Yeah,
recruitment.
because during recruitment, you're not allowed to drink, period. Like, you can drink in the comfort of your own home just as long as nobody sees you and you're not posting it anywhere.
I was about to say, technically, no, but that's the
But
thing, is
do
girls
it.
will find
Do
ways
it.
to get around it.
Yeah, because they don't want a P&M to see you, which, as if it's a fucking secret that people drink. That's what I never understood.
Or even the fact the whole, like, again, that the culture, the whole society, the whole sorority is literally perpetuating, like, underage drinking, but also just drinking in general, because what do you mean I can't drink because you don't want a P&M to see me? But, like, literally, when they show up on bid day, I'm going to have them snort 6 lines of cocaine. Not us, but, like, a sorority did that on bid day. So it's like, they can't see me drink, but we're going to haze them,
What?
make them do cocaine, and then drink with them right afterwards. Like, it's the whole hazing. You didn't hear about that either?
No?
The things I learned as a Rogam, like, blew my fucking mind.
I just could never imagine, like, how stupid you have to be to think that you can get away with that. Especially in, like, this day and age, like, with social media and all that stuff. And, like,
Well, that's the thing, is some girls,
Obviously.
they take their phones, so that way there is no evidence, and then they'll do that. But obviously, it's still, like, hearsay. Like, I can still report that verbally, but, like, they'll take devices to make sure that they don't have, like, video or photo, like, evidence.
exactly. And, like, the thing is, like, how do you gauge someone? Because, like, let's say, like, how many times do you meet a P&M before you actually, like, give them a bit? Like, 3-4 times? How do you gauge that they're not going to snitch on you? So you're literally stupid. You're literally stupid.
Did you ever hate one of your sorority sisters? And did you ever have fights with your sisters?
I wasn't even in y'all's sorority, and I hated a lot of them and wanted to fight a lot of them. And that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, I hated Marissa.
There's about 3 of them, so you should be specific.
You bitch. No, I'm kidding.
Drink, bitch. Fucking hate those chants.
I live for the drinking chants.
She
Fuck a
does
door
live for that
chant.
chant.
Fuck a door chant. I will sing drink bitch anytime, any day.
Oh my god.
Every time that fucking starts, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
You actually just see Caitlin like walk away from the group.
No, I dead ass do. When I was on the buses for the stupid date parties, whatever I had to fucking get dragged to, and y'all started chanting, I about jumped out the window.
She turned to me, she's like, "Can I leave now?" I said, "No." I don't think I've ever been like in a fight with anybody. I've been close. Like not like physically, obviously. There have been a couple of times I wanted to be physical. But I personally would like never like fought with anybody because again, I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to get in and I wanted to get out. There were a couple of times I wanted to fight some people for a certain someone.
Me.
Yes. And for some things that people have said to my little. But other than that, no. And I wouldn't say like I hated anybody. If I hated anybody, it was because of shit they did to my friends, not because of shit they did to me.
Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, you kept, like, a low profile.
And I wish somebody would have tried to say some shit about me. Because I would have been like, first of all, how do you even know my name? I barely exist in this chapter.
I will say that I truly lived my life while I was in the sorority by the motto of, I don't love everybody in my sorority, but I respect everyone in my sorority. And I applaud myself. I pat myself on the back for that because I never stooped down to the level of the girls that treated me like shit, but I always respected them. And I did, I mean, hate is a strong word, but like essentially, yes, I did. I hated a lot of the girls and I hated my time while I was there because of those girls. And yet every time I saw them, I smiled, I waved, I was respectful, never posted about them on social media, never gave them a little Finsta post, never did anything that was disrespectful. And I still am grateful that I did that, even though every day it was a fighting battle between, like, I remember talking to Allison, I'm like, Allison, do I just do it? Like, just say fuck it and, like, go off on this bitch? And then I'm like, no, Marissa?
No, I'm mad at you because the amount of conversations where you were about to drop, me trying to talk you out of it, at the same time I'm like internally like, please just do it so I have an excuse to drop too.
I wasn't in the sorority, so Allison definitely played angel on Marissa's shoulder, and I was fully devil. And I was like, oh no, honey, do it. Because if you don't, I'm about to.
Well, only because I know Marissa would have been pissed at herself if she didn't see it through.
Yes.
Because I know how Marissa is.
Ultimately, like, because one of the questions was in here was essentially like, why did I want to drop? Of course. Which, Allison, you can talk, because I know that you've been on the brink of that and you can talk about your experiences. But for me specifically, there was just a lot of drama that was going on, and a lot of girls were just outright like rude, mean, bullying, disrespectful to me on a literal daily basis, to the point where, yeah, I just wanted to drop. It was when I was living in the house. I didn't feel comfortable being there. I hated being in my room. I hated being anywhere in the house that was public space, because somewhere in that house, someone was in there talking shit about me. I was in every group chat ever, someone talking shit about me, screenshots sent around, like so many Instagram posts posted about me, calling me names, saying that like I don't deserve to be a sister, like one of our founders would be so disappointed in me. Like I just like the bullshit that went on, and like I saw it all, and it was so obviously discouraging. And I'm like, why am I even here? Like, why am I paying this money to like be in the sorority where bitches are just so mean? Ultimately, like Allison said, I would hate myself if I quit. Like, I was on the brink of it so many times. I had multiple meetings about it. Like, I was about to do it, but ultimately at the time, I didn't have littles. And my literal only reason was staying was to potentially get a little. Because I was like, there's no way that I just joined a sorority, paid all this goddamn money, and then leave without nothing coming from it.
No, I mean, like, that's why I stayed too. Like, I stayed a whole semester just so I could... And that whole, oh my God, I'll never forget how pissed I was. Remember that bid day where no one even asked me? I remember I literally almost dropped on that bid day.
Oh, I know. I had to like talk you out of it, and like it was just, oh my God, that whole day was just shit. But obviously I'm a big believer if everything happens for a reason, which is why
100%.
like if that wouldn't have happened, you wouldn't have got Alexis, which is your like perfect little, you know what I mean? Like out of that pledge class,
it's almost too perfect, and it makes me uncomfortable how perfect it is.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, love everybody in that pledge class, not disrespectful to anybody in that pledge class, but like I don't think you'd be as happy as you are now with any other little other than Alexis.
No, I couldn't imagine having a different one.
And same with me and like Lexi and Rachel, is like I wanted to quit so bad. I hated my life. I hated everybody in it. Everybody hated me. I only stayed to see what would happen, and like I'm so glad I did. Oh my God, I've been dying to talk about this thing. So a person asked, can you talk about Greek rank?
This is a great story. So let me start, because this happened after I found out about Greek rank, because you weren't here for this because you were still doing like your cheerleading coaching stuff, and you weren't there for like the first recruitment that we were supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know Greek rank was a thing. I didn't either. And I joined AOPI not knowing what it was, and I went in it for because like I liked the people that I got to know, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's why you should join a sorority.
Right. Like I shouldn't be learning about all their bullshit that other people are saying, not even the girls that are in the chapter are saying. But I just remember being at our first like recruitment workshop, and it was like in between like Christmas break and the start of the semester, and I just remember they made us like talk about like our grievances with like the chapter or something. And it was like all the seniors were like, I'm tired of people saying like this and that about AOPI and like blah, blah, blah. And I had no idea that other people thought this. After that, like it completely changed my perception of our chapter. And I was pissed. Mm-hmm. You guys literally just ruined this whole thing for me. I came in here thinking that like a totally different perspective of AOPI and like what it was all about. To hear like what other people thought of us just made me feel like shit. And made me not want to be there.
Greek rank in general is like not a place that you should look. Like if you're going to rush, don't look. You should 100% just join a sorority because you like that sorority. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or what anybody else thinks. This is where you want to end up, period. But also, yeah, like on AOPI, that was dumb as fuck of them, especially to include new members in that conversation. That's fine if you wanted to have that conversation with like maybe seniors and juniors or something to try to like maybe flip the perspective or like get them to work on like our public appearance kind of thing. But like I remember being in one later, like I don't think it was that specific one, but I remember being in one too, and every time they asked a question, because I think you were there, I raised my hand and I was like, I don't think that. I was like, I don't think that's what's going on. I was like, I'm sitting here and I'm fine. Like, but they're shoving it down our own throats, being like XYZ about us. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, you're telling me things that I had no idea about. Right. And why would you do that? But this question's like easy. It's not juicy, but it's like, what do you do at chapter? And it's literally just like a business meeting. All could be done within an email, but we still have to meet once a week.
Literally. Literally.
It's literally just someone sits up front and updates you like, hey, this is what's going on. Here's what I need you to do. Here's the deadline for this. Here's this. Here's this. Like the only thing that we actually have to be in person for is sometimes is we have to vote on certain things, but like all that could be done through email. This question says, tell us about a story of someone you know that has hooked up with a frat brother.
I don't know.
You don't know? Caitlin,
I don't
do you
really
know?
Allison.
Marissa, technically you did too, and now you're dating him, and now you're stuck with him. So shut the fuck up.
Okay, this question though, I just wanted to call you out. This question though, well maybe it's still you, is do we know of someone that's hooked up with two frat brother friends?
Yeah, Allison.
No!
Well, I mean, and then you went on that weird date with his frat brother. So, yeah, I'm right.
But I know I am. She didn't hook up with him. They just went on a date.
If it would have been less weird, she would have hooked up with him.
It's just funny to me because the one story that I do have, you guys were there.
And Caitlin was supposed to slap his butt.
Stop.
That was so awkward.
What did you ask him when he came in the house? You asked him something and then I asked him something.
I think I just asked him what frat he was in or something.
And then Marissa was like, what positions do you have? Like, oh my God, we should play this social together. I don't think I've ever tried to, like, shoo someone to my room as quickly as I did in that moment.
Are all frat guys assholes? Yes, inherently. But I think it's because of the system in which they reside. And just, like, Greek life in general is inherently, like, sexist. And then usually the guys that are frat guys that try to rush frats are a typical kind of guy, like a stereotypical kind of guy that is already going to be an asshole. So it's not like frat guys are assholes. It's just the guys that are attracted to frats are assholes, which makes frat guys assholes. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? But I think that like
first the chicken or the egg.
We're going to end on this last question that we have, but there are like at least one or two things that we just wanted to mention that weren't asked, but I think you guys would get a hoot out of. So the last question that we're going to ask is, we're going to kind of end it on a lighthearted maybe note.
Maybe.
Well, it depends on your answer. Was it worth all the money and time and stress?
No. Oh, wait, I wasn't in it.
See, again, that's where it's hard for me to answer because like there are so many things that I wouldn't have if it weren't for sorority.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, again, like I want to say like, no, it's not worth it. But I also like, I was lucky, like my parents paid my dues. So it was like, I didn't have to go work every semester so hard and also have sorority school and a job and all this shit just to be in it. Like a lot of girls do. So it was like, money wise, was it worth it to me? I can't really weigh in on that. It wasn't my money.
For me, it was worth it because I'm definitely a bitch that's like everything happens for a reason. So like if I had to go again and do everything exactly the same again, I would, even though it was hell. But like obviously I made it out and it's fine. So like I would do it again because of the great friendships that I made from it and the memories. And like, yes, it was really, 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 really fucking shitty at sometimes, but like the good outweigh the bad for me.
Yeah, like I honestly couldn't imagine my life without doing it now, if that makes sense. Because again, like we literally wouldn't be sitting here.
The last thing that I have here, though, or there's two things that I specifically wanted to talk about that nobody asked because you wouldn't know. But the kind of controllingness that you are under, or like a microscope that you are under when you're in a sorority, is like crazy.
Well, that's where a lot of Allison and I's fights would stem from. Because she'd be like, no, I can't do this. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't do this? I was like,
Caitlin and I would literally get in arguments about sorority.
I'm like, yes, you can. You are your own person. She's like, no, like, I cannot do it. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Why?
It is.
What?
You're right. Like, I never told you were wrong.
I know that, but then I'd just be pissed off at her because I'm like, you're boring now because you can't.
It was
do
mainly
this.
about drinking.
Oh yeah, of course it was about drinking.
Thank God this wasn't in our sorority, which, like, sometimes I wish it, well, it could have been for some things, but in other sororities specifically, there's even to an extent of, like, policing what you post on social media as far as, like, if a post isn't cute enough. Like, there's a umbrella policing as far as, like, if you're underage, you cannot post a picture of you drinking or doing any kind of drugs, period. And, like,
and it's,
like,
funny because people try to get around it and they put a, like, emoji over the cup, and I'm like,
That makes
no.
it more obvious.
right. And so, like, that's an umbrella term. Every sorority or every person underage, essentially, lawfully should not be doing that. So, like, yeah. But some sororities will go as far as, like, if there's an ugly picture on your Instagram, or it's just, like, bad, or it's not tasteful enough, or, like, it may put you in a bad light, which may put the sorority in a bad light. There's literally a whole person on the exec board that has an account that will just, like, if they comment on your picture, it's just like, oh my God, haha, heart. It's like, you know that means take it down. The amount of policing that goes on is unlike anything that you've ever thought was possible. The amount of times that you cannot do something or are told that you are not allowed to do something, or a certain timing of doing things, like, you are essentially, your whole life is getting signed over to the sorority when you accept that bid and you pay them dues. Like, they get to dictate what you post on social media, what you wear to class, how you talk to people, what your schedule is like. The other thing, at least at Ohio State, which obviously I can probably assume for all other schools, is, like, Greek life in general. There's usually a day that's, like, National No Hazing Day or something. And it's like, these hands don't haze. And they post a picture throwing their little hand sign up on their sorority page that's like, oh, these hands don't haze. Knowing damn well that they haze every bitch that walks through that door.
That is so funny. I've never thought about that.
Yes.
I think because, like, we didn't haze.
Yeah.
So it's like...
And another one that they do is always, there's some day, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like, oh, Panhellenic love. Like, ooh, we love all the sororities. But every sorority...
Badge day.
Literally, yeah, badge day. It's all these things that are trying to get, like, each sorority together. And each sorority just talks shit about each other and perpetuates all the stereotypes and, like, perpetuates all these, like, bad things about each other. And there's not really a real pan love going on. Like,
right. And the thing that's sad to me is, like, it's only ever, like, a couple of girls in each sorority that's like that. Because, like, I've met other girls in other sororities, like, through my study abroad, and
yeah,
they were all great. And they were all
yeah.
in different chapters, totally different chapters. Like, you wouldn't expect them to all know each other and be friends, but, like,
it worked. There's always those few bad apples that, like, rot in the whole bunch, and that's, like, apparent with anything. But with sororities, yeah, there was only 5 or 6 girls in my sorority that were just total bitches, but it ruined my whole experience. There's only 5 or 6 girls in each sorority that ruins it for every other sorority, but they do it. Like, it doesn't have to be the whole sorority. And yeah, I guess one thing that I do want to end it on is, like, as we just said, I wouldn't take it back. I still loved the overall experience of being in my sorority. I would do it again. Love my friends. And even, like, the fact that I posted so many videos about it, like, I don't want anybody to ever be like, oh, well, she was lying to us, like, she faked all this happiness. Like, I was never lying. I just didn't speak on the drama because it was unnecessary, and especially while I was in it, I didn't want to perpetuate it more. Like, if I was posting videos while I was in the sorority being like, oh, these girls are bitches, like, it would have gave me hell. So of course I'm not going to post about it, but I was never, like, lying. I think it is a great experience, but it isn't for everybody. And, like, you'll learn that once you join. You'll be like, oh, fucking hate this, and you can drop. Or you just don't rush because you already know it's not for you. Like, I think that if you are ever interested in it, do it. You never know until you try. And for some people, they have a wonderful time, no drama ever. And for some people, you're probably going to get into some fights and have some drama. Some people want to be super involved like me, and some people just sit in the back of the whole room and do absolutely nothing and only show up to what's mandatory, like Allison. So in all, like, I don't want to ever speak down on the whole experience or Greek life. I hope hope you guys enjoyed this episode, the first episode of season 2, like kicking off 2021. Holy shit. I know that you guys requested just more tea, more gossip, more all the things. I hope this was juicy enough for you. If not, if you guys have like follow-up questions, like slide in the DMs. We could do a part 2.
We can
but
always
I think
do a part 2.
That's what I say. Is like I could make a whole season. Make sure you're following the Instagram at kissmyglass_podcast. Make sure you're looking out for essentially every week. I said that things are going to be changing. There's either going to be polls that you guys can vote in or questions that we want you guys to ask us for each episode. So make sure you're checking that every week, as well as for the drink of the week. So that way you guys can drink with us, grab a glass with us. Just check it out. Make sure you guys are following. And while you're at it for the new year, I'd really love it if you guys would go ahead and rate and, subscribe, leave a review on wherever you guys are listening to your podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. It really helps us out and we'd really appreciate it going into the new year.
Also, let us know if we were to do like little stickers for like laptops and stuff like that, like through Etsy shop, if you guys would like to buy those.
Who gonna buy the cricket is what I want to know to make this sticker.
Marissa said, I will. But I think that would be pretty cool, because then we could see what you guys would like for like merch and stuff too.
People said that they liked sticker ideas, so we should try to do that. We will catch you guys next week for our next episode. It's going to be a good one, I think. So we will catch you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Caitlin.
Bye.
We just wanna party, call me tequila shawty.